Hi friends, I'm Urvashi. Welcome to my channel. Today in this video I'm going to be talking about transits and how do we see transits in Vedic astrology, because many a times this question comes up, so I thought it's important that I clarify this doubt. So yes, Vedic astrology transits are subservient to the dasha system. And what is the dasha system? Dasha system is any point of time during our lifetime. Every point of time is ruled by a particular planet. All the 9 planets have a few years, like Ketu has about 7 years. So likewise all the planets have been given by sage Prashar. All the planets have been given a certain number of years as the ruling years that would rule the native for those many years at that point of time in their life. So you are born in a certain dasha, which depends on the placement of the moon in your chart. So whichever zodiac, whichever nakshatra the moon is placed in your chart decides the dasha that you are born in. Once you've gone through the dasha, then the next planet follows. So it's a very fixed system. So in your chart it would be according to the placement of moon in whichever nakshatra the moon is placed in. So that would be your first mahadasha. The second mahadasha would follow accordingly, but the Prashari system says the first dasha is Ketu, in that order. After Ketu we have Venus, then we have Sun, Moon, Mars, Rahu, Jupiter, Saturn and Mercury. So if you're born in Sun mahadasha, if your moon is in the nakshatra of Sun, Uttarashada, so if your moon is in any of these nakshatras or Kritika, then you will be, when you're born, you would be running a Surya mahadasha. And as soon as the Sun mahadasha finishes, then you'll enter the Moon mahadasha. You will have to go in that order. So it will be that particular planet that rules you during those many years. And now what happens is, of course you have certain yogas in your chart. A lot of people sometimes, in comments you ask me about dashas and transits and all, and I'm trying to explain, and I'm saying things like whatever the promise is in your chart. And some of you ask me, what do I mean by a promise? Promise is all the yogas in your chart. You have certain yogas in your chart, good yogas, bad yogas, and the yogas are implemented or manifested at the time of the dasha. So if you have let's suppose a Gaj Kesari yoga, so you will get the effects of the Gaj Kesari yoga prominently in the dasha of Jupiter and Moon. And now here transits come in also. So let's suppose your Gaj Kesari yoga is in the 10th house. Let's suppose that's a very strong, very good yoga in the 10th house that you have. So it does show that during the mahadasha of Jupiter, let's suppose Jupiter is exalted, because Jupiter needs to be well placed. The planets need to be well placed for the yogas to manifest properly. Let's suppose you have a Jupiter mahadasha and Jupiter is exalted or in its own sign, and you're running a Gaj Kesari, you have this yoga and you're running a dasha of Jupiter. So getting the right results, getting that status, that position, because 10th house is also status, is also position. So the promise is there in your chart, but you will get it when the transit is also supporting you. So whenever the planets are aspecting the 10th house, whenever Jupiter aspects the 10th house, Saturn aspects the 10th house, whenever the 10th house is also properly activated in transit. So the first thing that has to be in your chart is the promise. You have to have the right yogas in your chart. The second thing is the right dasha. So if you have the right yogas but you don't have the right dasha, it doesn't work out. So the first thing is the right yogas. The second is the right dasha. The right yogas but the wrong dasha will not give you the right result, it will give you the wrong result. So the right yogas with the right dasha and the right transit is the right combination for anything to work out in Vedic astrology. So that's how it works out. But transits are important because the energy is there in the sky, in the universe. So generally for all of us that energy is there. But the manifestation of specific things related to your chart will depend on the promise and the dasha. So if you have a bad promise, let's suppose, and let's suppose you are running a 8th house dasha and the 8th lord is badly afflicted, is afflicting your ascendant lord. So it does show that during the dasha you would have certain health issues. So the transit may be very good, but you will not get the good results of the transit, because you are running the period of the 8th lord that is afflicting the ascendant, that is promising bad health. So as soon as in transit the ascendant or the ascendant lord is also afflicted. As soon as that happens, that's the triggering effect. Transit is the triggering effect. So as soon as in the transit the ascendant or the ascendant lord gets afflicted, the native is going to get bad health. So the promise is bad health, let's suppose. So I'm just giving you examples of how to see transits. If the promise is bad health, the dasha is there, then it's just the transit that has to come about. If it's a bad health promise or a bad luck promise, then the dasha has to be there, and the transit of bad health and bad luck have to come in order for that event to trigger. Or if it's like a good luck promise, like I said, a Gaj Kesari yoga, let's suppose, or a Dharam Karam Adhipati yoga, let's suppose. You have a good yoga in the 10th house, 9th and 10th lord are conjunct in the 10th house, and you're running a dasha of the 10th house, or the 9th lord, and or the 10th lord. So the yoga has to fructify, but it will fructify when in transit the planets also aligned accordingly. So whenever you see transits, don't ever see transits by not looking at your charts. Keep your charts in mind, keep the dashas in mind, keep the promise in mind. Promise is the yogas, the placement of all the planets and what they are promising. If they are promising something good, and if the good dasha is there, then the good transits will be supportive. If they are promising something bad and the bad dasha is there, then a bad transit will actually trigger the bad events. So that's how you see transits in Vedic astrology. You don't see them in isolation from your chart. Always consider transits with your chart in your mind. So without looking up your dashas, without looking up the yogas, the promises, there is no point, absolutely none, in just watching transit videos. And then sometimes you guys come back and this never happened, so that never happened. So when we are talking about transits, we are keeping in mind the possible results that can be connected to the house depending on the good and the bad yogas. So we are trying to consider both the good yogas and the bad yogas, and supposing that you have a dasha of those planets, and we're trying to explain both the good and the bad related to that house. That is possible. But if you don't have any such promise, and if you're not running any such dasha, so no such activity will happen. So I hope that was clear. I hope transits are going to be more clearer to you guys from now onwards, and you will understand that if you're watching any video on transit, you got to keep in mind the dasha that you're running and the promise that is in your chart. So now I will be seeing you in the next video. For now, it's bye-bye.